Okay, this is the first part of my graphics final project video submission. So for this first part, I just wanted to show the scene and look at things from like a user perspective and how you would set up a scene like this. So if I run it, the scene is kind of rough on my computer, so hopefully it's not too laggy. Okay, so here we have a scene. This is my initial view. I have 4 models, these 2 ships, this whole gas station is one model, this little gas can over here, and they all are textures, lit textures, and then I have 4 point lights, so 2, like a white one and a pink one in both of these areas, and then 2 more one more white point light out here just to give some more lighting, and have the terrain. As you can see, that this whole gas station model has like these other 2 pieces that I just don't care about, so don't look over there, it clips through the terrain. But clearly the terrain is here, and I have a repeating texture on there, and no, like the anisotropic whatever is working fine. Additionally, skybox is looking fine. You can see a tiny bit of a seam right up here, which is unfortunate, but whatever. And then I have fog as well. It's pretty subtle because I didn't want to go over the top, but you can see how the hills back here are like more crimson, and then the skybox also has some fog on it. So if you went back far enough, you would see it, and I'll show it off more in a second. Yeah, and then this guy is just moving around, and then he pauses in here. He has a spotlight out the front of him, and pauses in here for like 5 seconds or so, and then keeps going. So, yeah. If I close out, I get passes. I do have all these warnings. I don't know if those are supposed to be there or what. They're not supposed to be there, but I don't know. Deduct points, if you will. But anyways, okay, so now I just want to go through DX app and like show how a user would like set up a scene like this. So initially you just have to create the shaders. I'm not even using all these. I'm just using texture and texture light. But this is how you would create all the different shaders. Passing in the parameters. In order to have multiple lights, you have to pass in a light ID as well. So you can see for the point lights, it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, passing in 5 different lights. I also had a not very bright directional light in there as well. Graphics objects, so you have to create textures from file path, models from file path, graphics objects with a pointer to the shader and the model that you need. You can set the texture, you can set the material, and you can set the world. So that's just repeated for all the different models or graphics objects that I have. Sorry, I might have seen someone. And then skybox is right here. You just create a texture and you pass in a pointer to the texture and a pointer to the shader, and then the size that you want. Terrain is right here. You have to create the terrain texture, pass in the pointer to the shader, the pointer to the texture, the height map file that you're using. So this is the one I'm using. And then I forget what the order of these, but basically the size, the UV repeats, the offset for the Y translation. This is just setting up the camera with the initial orientation or whatever. And here are the fog parameters, which you can just set at the beginning. So just for instance, if I change this to like 300, this texture light is for all of the objects, and then the texture, the only thing I'm using with that is the skybox, so I had it slightly farther fog range. But if I set the texture light one very small, then you can see the fog a lot more clearly, and if you back up, things get a lot foggier. So I'm gonna set this back to what it was. Okay, and then update scene, you're just rotating stuff. This is where I'm rotating the ship and moving the camera. That's all you do in there. Draw scene, clearing the render target view, the depth stencil view, getting the eye position. I do have the user having to switch to the different shaders that they want. So you set this to context, send anything you need to. So camera matrices, if you need to update the spotlight parameters, because this is a spotlight that moves around, so you need to update that every frame, and then send the light parameters with the eye position. Render all of the graphics objects, so all you have to do is say render. For the ones that bob up and down a little bit, you do have to set the world every frame. Oops. And then render, but pretty easy. For the terrain, all you have to do is call render. Since the skybox uses just the regular texture shader, you do have to switch to that. Send the camera matrices, send the eye position for fog. I had to set up that constant buffer, and then render. And yeah, then at the bottom you just delete everything. So that is kind of from a user perspective, the API that I have available. There's some other stuff like pre-made models and stuff that I will get into in the next video, but for this scene, that is how you set it up.